All right, he just dropped the Paca Finance weekly update, so let's check it out. I'm going to do a walkthrough with you guys. It's the first time I'm watching it, so let's check it out.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be our weekly update, so we'll talk through all the stuff we've been working on this week. So Lee's joined me on the call. We'll talk through some of the cool site improvements that we have through the markets, give you a status on where we're at, and we'll go from there. So welcome, Lee.
Thank you very much. Thanks for syncing up with me. Obviously, I'm back off vacation now, so we're fully back at work. So thanks to everyone for being patient, and we appreciate you all very much.
I do like the new screen layout, though, the way it looks. Looks kind of cool, more sleek, more stylish. So I like the way this first page looks.
Yep, good to have you back in the saddle and everything. I know it was tough going through all this while you were on vacation. Obviously, timing wasn't great, but we march on and we'll get this thing back on track. So let's talk through a little bit about what we've been working on this week. Huge shout out to JC. We've added him to the team and Sasha, and we've been able to get a lot of stuff done in a pretty short amount of time. So the site, as you guys can see, we're revamping it and we're trying to make every aspect of it better. From the dashboard that's going to give you a bunch of different analytics, to your stakes tab, to your vaults, to the marketplace, all this is going to be a little bit better. We do have a handful of community members that have been in here and making adjustments on here, testing it out for us. We've got our admin team that has been testing it. We've been checking out a bunch of different wallets, trying to make sure the connections work and everything. So there's always a lot that goes along with that. We're obviously rebuilding a site that we've done 100 different iterations on over the last 500 days or something like that. It's about how long we've been around. So we've been working this for a pretty long time. And we're trying to cram in a full rebuild of that entire site with a lot more functionality in just a matter of weeks and have all the connections and everything work. So essentially importing all the stuff from the old side and then just making it work better. That's obviously comes with some challenges, but JC's been marching through them. Everything's looking good.
I do like this. They have the estimated value, instant profit potential when you do buy something off the marketplace, and they have the daily percentage that the stake is going to be. Like this says 0.48, and it tells you how it's going to be if it's compounded, the percentage. So that's pretty cool. So you got the daily compounded percentage, which should be 0.72 if you decide to compound. Okay, I like the way that looks. And you can see all your available stakes and the daily percentages. All right, let's continue.
We've got way more data than we ever had before. And so that's going to be super nice once we get back up and running again. You guys will all notice that clicking the buttons is much more enjoyable than it used to be. Way less errors. You're not putting in stake numbers. There's just a ton of stuff that's getting fixed. As you can see, I'm just on the marketplace tab here for base. I've got my available stakes I could sell. These are all the stakes and listings that are out there. You can see how good of a deal it is and sort by it if you're just looking for the most instant profit. So the best deals out there are up here. All the stuff that we weren't able to do before, we can do now. The vaults, you're going to be able to come in and do a bunch of cool stuff. Request your bonuses, request your initial assets back. It's going to have you all the breakdowns here of what they were originally worth, what they're currently worth. All that stuff's available. So I know that JC's been trying to test out the wallets, and Lee, you've been super involved with that because you have a few different kind of crazy wallets, including Tangem. I don't know if you have any insights on how that's been going.
Yeah, so one of the main bugbears of the last, as you say, 500 days was for mobile and smart device users. I have a lot of people who invested in Paca, in particularly the last sort of 12 weeks, predominantly mobile users. They're business people. They don't really use desktops and Macs other than for business. So when they do their leisurely crypto investments, they like to use, your iPhones, your Android devices, your tablets and your Chromebooks, netbooks and all that kind of thing. So what I feel that we were lacking over the last sort of months, and in particular the last year, where, a lot more people are coming in from the outside.
It's connection issues, guys. That's the main thing he's about to say is connection issues. People are having a hard time connecting. You have to do a hard refresh. Please tell me this is fixed, Lee.
Into crypto. People just want to use the thing they've got in their pocket. And it's been stressful trying to get connections fixed. You've got SafePal,
Yes.
Trust Wallet and Tangem being the sort of top three mobile device wallets that we've struggled with. So what we've been working with the team, the admins, and some community members who are not part of the team. They're just investors who love to use mobile. Now, however you feel about people using mobile devices in crypto, people are going to do it, and that's where a lot of the new generation of people are going to be working from. So we've been testing all three, including some others, but SafePal, Trust Wallets, and Tangem, the newest kids on the block. They are the more difficult ones to deal with, because how they report the transaction back to the browser or whatever, however you're doing it, can be a little bit skew-if. So JC's literally dedicated this last week with me and the other team members that we spoke about, who predominantly deal with the mobile devices, to just developing that side of things. Also, I've had 6 of the people that came in who bought Tangems sort of through my not referral link, what it's called, like recommendation. They all use Tangem. They love it because it's a little card in your wallet. But Tangem.
And guys, I just did a video on Tangem wallet yesterday. I'm going to leave the link in the description below to the video, because I do have a promotional code that you could use and get 10 to 15% off your Tangem wallet if you want to get a Tangem wallet as well. I like Tangem. Very cool wallet.
It has to be one of the most difficult ones to develop with. So we've been working on that and grinding on it, and things are looking good with that. So it's really positive for us to be able to bring a really nice, swift, surgical experience to the mobile users. And I'm sure some of our viewers and people in the community will welcome the speed and efficiency at which we're developing that side of our platform. So yeah, all good on that side so far.
So site's coming along. So just we'll keep making updates to this, both in functionality and then the looks and the aesthetics. So when we go to relaunch, everything should be super smooth across the platform. Pretty much solid on every wallet. There's always going to be some little intricacies, because as these wallets make their own updates, they don't consider the dApps on the other side and how it functions with it. So I'm sure we'll still have a couple little hiccups here and there, but for the most part, this is going to be way, way, way better. So that's underway. Looking forward to having that done. Let's talk markets. So markets absolutely tanked last week for the most part, and I think a lot of that was in part to. Let's go to the ETH chart. A lot of that was in part to the fact that Powell was going to make an announcement on Friday morning, and it just seemed bearish, right? Powell and Trump don't get along. Obviously, rate cuts would help juice the markets and everything like that. And I don't think that he would want anything to reflect positively on him. So there's some political play there. But however you look at it, that was priced in, and that's why we saw this big dip in the market. So anybody who happened to have their ranges set from about 4,700, 4,750, 4,800 in here, and then had it all the way down to dipping almost to $4,050. That's a huge reduction in percentage in price. And so it really ripped down. We got a little boost here. This was really kind of this is over the last month. This is a 1 month chart, but we saw this little bounce here, and I was really concerned about it being a dead cat bounce. And so I wanted to be real hesitant about what we were doing in the market. I know, many of you guys heard me say that we really saw that dip down, and we ate up a bunch of those losses. Now, what actually happened Friday morning, right here when we were around the 4,200 mark, is Powell came out and made not even a really bullish statement, just not a bearish statement, came out and said that he would consider rate cuts in September. And so I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, they were saying that rate cuts, the likelihood on the betting markets was like a 95% that we were going to get a rate cut in September. Before Powell's announcement, that had dropped all the way down to 50%. So people were really turning towards he wasn't going to say anything bullish. As soon as he did, the market absolutely flew. You went from 4,200 in the morning to 4,900 almost, 48 something, basically hit an all-time high in 1 day. So huge moves that completely changed the market sentiment. So that's good. During this downtime though, during this period where it was really dipping down and we dropped, $800 or so off of the token price of Ethereum, SUI basically followed the same path. We were out of range for most of last week, and knowing that there was going to be some upcoming.
You know what that means, guys? probably be paused for another week. He's setting it up.
Changes, we really didn't feel comfortable taking a large amount of a permanent loss. Figured it would be better not having that daily liability to just wait, let it bounce back in range, which is what we did. So unfortunately, we didn't earn a ton last week on most of our positions because most of our positions were out of range. But that impermanent loss was able to swing back around, and we're talking about like $1 million in permanent loss swing. So
Wow.
Rearranging to the downside, eating that $1 million takes a lot longer to earn that back than it is just to wait. So that's essentially what we did. What it didn't do for us is give us data on the approximate percentages we were printing in those positions and all that. So well, the upside is we didn't take the impermanent loss. We just had to wait. The downside is we didn't earn while we were in those ranges because we were obviously out of range. So that was a risk we were willing to take. I think it was the correct decision, but ultimately what it doesn't do is help us get any more math of exactly what we can earn with our current ranges at this time. So we're going to, now that we're back in range, the market should level out this week. We'll see what happens as we're quickly approaching coming into September. I think we're going to start to see some build as people consider those rate cuts are going to happen, because what will happen when the rate cuts actually come through is the markets will spike, capital's a little bit cheaper. You're going to start to see more money flowing into assets. So if people want to front run that price increase, they're going to go, cool, I can buy Ethereum right now at an all-time high of 4,900 because next week, or 2 weeks from now, it's going to be 5,500. So it is what it is. So you're seeing, massive spikes in the market. I think it's going to continue up. We're going to be sitting in range and getting some of that upside. But what you need is that data from the growth for this week to be able to calculate exactly what we're earning and then help us more accurately dictate what our unpause date is going to be. So I don't know if you have any comments on that, Lee, but that's pretty general news, pretty general market updates. Most of you guys probably saw that blood red for most of it, and then a positive announcement and everything just went haywire. I mean, for ETH, of all assets, to have a market cap as high as it is, 594 billion, to be able to move $800 in a day, that's absolutely insane. So took a week to bleed and then a day to recapture that, and now it's pumping and we're looking at all-time highs at this very second. So kind of wild.
Yeah, obviously some great points made, and people who don't know a lot about CLP farming just think, oh well, the price has gone up, you must be printing an absolute bag of money. Doesn't work like that. Not everyone's an expert in a bull market. Not everyone knows how to average it out. So obviously we prefer what we call spaghetti action, which is up and down inside the range as best as you can get it. You might poke out a range at the top for a day, tap on the bottom support line and be back up, sort of inside of your range. But what we've found is that especially with the top 20 coins, which is, we don't farm meme coins, by the way. It's not part of our strategy. You can get insane percentages, but you end up just losing everything because you get converted into the other token, which is worth nothing, etc.
So
long story short, this amount of volatility, both to the upside and downside, which could happen, the short markets, the long markets, the liquidations, the inflow of capital from the rate cut information is all brilliant. But
when do you guys think we're going to come back? When do you guys think we're going to be unpaused? I'm thinking, what's the day? August the 24th, maybe September 1st would be a good day. Let me know in the comments when you think we're going to actually come back.
The decision not to take $1 million in impermanent loss is one that needs to be, gilded, because a lot of people, when they re-range, don't really take into consideration. Because if you've got a 30 grand position, for instance, your impermanent loss isn't as much as a hit. You can sort of look at the fees and think, oh, well, I'm earning, $250 a day. It doesn't quite work like that when you're farming millions of dollars, because a slight tap on the bottom support line and then out of range is so vast. We have to make decisions based on capital loss. And I think it was a shrewd decision not to do so. So yeah, it's very volatile, very interesting, but we've got more interesting times to come based on what Powell says or does in September.
Definitely. So we'll see what happens. I think we'll probably get a rate cut. If you look at the last time we cut rates and match the data up against now, it's warranted. No matter, yeah, it'll be interesting economically. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, but I think it'll probably happen. So we'll see that. As you can see, ETH's getting all the inflows right now. SUI's down at 370 right now, and ETH is hitting all-time highs. So you can see the difference in the charts. ETH is pulling most of the inflows in. I think eventually it'll go from ETH into meme coin season, basically altcoin season, rather, is what I'm trying to say. And so SUI and other tokens will pump after that. So we're just trying to farm them the best we can, get set ranges where we can earn a decent percentage, and then take that data and go, okay, this is the new percentage that Paca can afford, and then that's when we'll restart and relaunch the whole site with all the new metrics.
What do you think the percentage is going to be, guys? You can go from 0.33 to what? I'm thinking at least 0.22, 0.2. We can't go under 0.2. I'm sorry. I think it's going to be 0.2. That's a good number.
So is what it is. Unfortunately, we're having to do this discovery period in the middle of a pause, but the markets change and you earn different over time in different COP forms. Different stuff is paying out different ranges. So that's what we're determining. And unfortunately, that just comes with a pause while we figure out what those exact numbers are, and then we'll roll it back out again. So we need to have a pretty good idea of what the averages are, and it warranted a pause. We had this question come up a bunch, so I was asked to cover it on the next update. So a few people have asked, hey, why do a promo, 10 days before the pause? And that's a great question. The answer is we never would have done one, obviously, if we would have known that we were going to pause. The time we ran the promo, we were unaware of a couple things, one of which was the capital loss that Keith had incurred. The math we were running didn't have that loss included, so we were fine on the math that we had. Like I said, we felt that we were meeting the daily liability number, and even though maybe our total dollar amount was under, over time, you earn that back without impermanent gain as the price goes up. And so as long as you're covering the basics, you're in pretty good shape. Unfortunately, that math was incorrect due to the aforementioned issue. So once that was identified, we quickly assessed everything the best we could in a short amount of time and said, no, this requires a pause, and then we need to fully assess the math and the full situation. So that's what we did. I know it's unfortunate. I mean, it had CETUS and everything rolled into it. There's a big math problem that we were trying to solve. Just really difficult to solve it while you're live. So it warranted a pause, and that's the whole process we're going through right now. We've got 100 metrics that we're plugging in here, and we've got an insanely cool calculator where we're running everything together and trying to figure out what's possible, what's the most sustainable, how long it'll take, how long we want to run Paca. I mean, everything's kind of added in here. So by the time,
I want to know how much we need to make up. How about telling us how much we need to make up? How much permit loss do we need to make up to get this thing back up and running? I'd like to know the exact number, around about the number. You said, we could have cured $1 million in permanent loss if you didn't, if you would incur that. But how much are we actually down that we need to make up? It's been 3 weeks now, and you got millions of dollars, so we need to know. I think it's good. Let us know the number.
When we relaunch, we will have very specific metrics on most likely how long we want to run it, what all the percentages are, just tighter math, we'll say that. So that's what we're working on. But to answer that question, we never would have run a promo had we known that there was a pause incoming. So that was those just coincided at the same time, and we decided we need to shut it down so we can redo the math before restarting. So that's where we're at.
Okay, Scott, thanks for that. That was a great point, and that question does come up a lot. So thanks for answering. Appreciate it. Which transitions me into the next biggest question that we've had, and that is when. So when are we going to unpause? Now, the math will dictate it, and we have to choose not to unpause too early like we did last time. So basically, the timeline that we set in is 1 to 3 months.
What?
If it's 1, brilliant. Everyone's happy. If it's 3,
1 to 3 months? Are you serious? Wow. That's crazy. 1 to 3 months. gonna collect all these fees. We must be in the hole big time.
That's what we need to get this project back running and sustainable again.
Yep. And while it's unfortunate that it seems like a long time, it's really what we need to determine what these ranges are going to be. We're farming concentrated liquidity pools.
Wow.
That's where the revenue comes from. That's what we need in order to pay you
You're gonna
guys
piss
out.
a lot of people off.
We need to figure out exactly what we're making in these new ranges. 6 months ago, a year ago, these ranges were making different totals than they are today. We're seeing really big upswings and really big downswings in the market while everything kind of levels out. I think once we get this rate drop, things will spike, but I think we'll see a little bit slower growth and we won't see such big days ripping through our ranges. So our whole point of this is to try to identify what we can really afford and then continue to pay that out over time. And then over the course of the next 250 days or so, everyone, of course, gets made whole with their profit, and everyone can decide where they would like to take that in the market, or whether they want to buy assets, or whether they want to continue if Paca decides to continue on, at whatever rates the market can dictate at that point. So just be aware of that. So I know that it's probably comes as a little bit of a shock. 1 to 3 months seems like a long time, but it's what we need to do in order to get the numbers dialed in and then get everything set up. So we're going to try our best to make it the shorter term, but if it's the latter, it is what it is. The math is going to dictate what we can pay. So that's obviously what we're going off of. We just need a little bit more time to gather that data where the markets are a little more well behaved, and then we can go, okay, this is what we can pay. This is how long it's going to take us to get fully caught up, and then we'll go from there. So we'll keep working on that, and we'll keep doing an update every week. We know that Keith returns home from his family deal this week, and so we'll have the remaining of those funds to add to our pools, and we'll get that finished up. Anything else, we're just going to keep letting you guys know on these weekly updates of all the big progressions that we've made, some of which will be to the site, some of which will be the data and the numbers. As soon as we can, we'll give you an announcement of what the restart date is. If that window starts becoming smaller and smaller and we have a better idea of what that is, then we'll close that window and get a little tighter on the timelines. But that's basically where we're sitting right now. And like we said, we're going to keep giving you weekly updates, even if it's not anything super amazing. We're definitely not going anywhere. We are getting closer and closer to a point where we can start giving some specific timelines, but it just won't be today. So.
Well, it is today because you told us 1 to 3 months.
We're not going anywhere. We're in Telegram every day. And even if we just do a weekly video update, people are, going to respond to that, because people consume their content from Telegram, other social media outlets, and obviously YouTube. But we're always around. There's always an admin or a moderator there to ask a question. So if you've got a question, feel free to ask it, and we'll answer it. One thing we won't accept, though, is just mindless FUD and silly questions about other projects and other dApps. Just segueing into it, we've been asked to put all of our liquidity into a well-known at the moment, fully, working dApp. Obviously, we're not going to do that because it's not our money, it's yours. So just keep the questions respectful, and you can chatter all there, all day. We're not pausing the Telegram or anything like that. We're always accessible, and there's always pretty much someone online. I'd say probably about 20 hours a day. There's a little 4-hour gap where all the time zones sort of merge together. But there's always someone signing in, checking in, and there to answer your questions. So please feel free to jump in and ask the questions. And also remember, the marketplace is at the discounted rate. So if you feel that you need to move your money around and sort of sell your stakes, you're more than happy to do so. That's a peer-to-peer system. We don't get involved in it. And yeah, just let us build, let us rebuild, and let us continue to update you on the weekly and daily.
Yeah, thanks for that, Lee. And like you said, we're open to any constructive feedback, and all the positive stuff in the chats. Complaining about stuff doesn't make this happen any faster. Obviously, we're running everything through the calculator. So as soon as the calculator spits out the math that is workable for us, then we're given a relaunch date. So be friendly in the chats. Not all the FUD isn't helping us do this any faster. So just be aware of that and be kind to your counterparts in the chats. So that's it for today. We'll do another update next week, and hopefully we'll have even some more good news for you here in the main chat this week. We'll post some screenshots and stuff as things develop, but that's it for now. Thank you guys for joining, and yeah, appreciate your time.
Well, it's going to be a lot of FUD. I'm telling you that now. It's going to be a lot of FUD. But hey, what can we do, right? It's DeFi. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. 1 to 3 months. I didn't think it would be that long. Wow. It's already been 1 month, so you might say 2 more months. That's it, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Interesting. Peace out.